Let me show you something that I wish they had taught me in school. I wish I had known this when I graduated high school at age 18. They tell you that you go to school so that you can get a good career and have financial security, but they forget to teach you how to invest your money. So I kind of have a little master plan here. This is a mind map that I'm going to show you. I'll zoom in. And before I say that, let me just say there's only two types of incomes you can have. One is labor-based income. That's what the whole world has. That's what the system teaches you, tries to make you a cog in the machine. And then you have a small percentage of people who have what's called asset-based income. So labor-based income, asset-based income. What I wish they had taught me in school was asset-based income. How can I invest my money into the right assets so that my money works for me while I sleep? So that's why I've got this mind map up. And let me zoom in and kind of show you how this works. I call this my ABI master plan. There's three main categories of assets that you can invest your money in. So you make $1, you make $100, you make $1,000, you make $10,000 this month that you have left over, and you want that money to start working for you. Albert Einstein said the eighth wonder of the world was compounding interest. Okay? And that's what you get when you invest correctly. So you have physical / tangible assets. You have digital / intangible assets, and then you have operating / business assets, okay? And then each of those break down into three subcategories. So physical assets, you have real estate, precious metals, cash and cash equivalents. Digital assets, you have stock market, crypto, and IP. IP stands for intellectual property. And then under business assets, you have entrepreneurial business assets, M&A, so that's merger and acquisition, and then minority interests. And each of those break down into three subcategories. So you have 9 main ways you can invest your money, and each of those 9 break down into 3. So, it starts to add up, but I don't want to overwhelm you. What I want to just kind of share with you today is that if you've seen my videos online for the last few years, I've been teaching people how to improve their labor-based income, how to start a business, how to start a social media marketing agency, how to do e-commerce, how to become a consultant, all these things. And what I realized is that while I was helping people raise their labor-based income, I'll say I forgot something. I forgot to teach people how to invest the profits that they had. So one of my first students in my social media marketing agency in 2016, he made a lot of money in his first year. Okay, not everybody did that, but kind of the one that made the most. And he went from making like $1,000 in the year before, and then he went up, and his social media marketing agency did like $1 million or more in revenue, and he had a lot of profits, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he would come over to my house every once in a while, and I saw him. He would tell me, I was like, "What are you doing with all this money?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm investing it." And I remember him telling me about an investment he had, and as soon as he told me, I was like, "Have you wired the money?" It was like 100 or 200 grand. He was wiring somebody. I said, "Because if you have, you're never going to see that money again." And sure enough, he never saw that money again. So I realized it wasn't enough for me just to go on YouTube and go on social media and talk about how to start a business, and because that's labor-based income. You have to work in the business to make money. I needed to start showing people how to turn that profit into investments, into sound investments. Now, a lot of people think of me only as a social media influencer. They don't realize way back 2001, 2002, I started as an entrepreneur working with GE Capital. GE Financials was one of the biggest companies in the world at the time. And I started out as a CFP, Certified Financial Planner, and I built a wealth management company with my business partner, John, in Raleigh, North Carolina. It still exists. After about 7 or 8 years, I sold him the other half, so he owns it all now. And began to manage money we had 6,000 clients in like 50 states, all 50 states of the U.S. So before I was my first entrepreneurial venture, luckily, I learned at the same time not only how to create labor-based income, but also how to invest. But I haven't shared that, so that's kind of why I'm recording this screen share right now, so that I can really kind of fill in the gap, okay, for what I haven't talked about enough. And so physical, tangible assets, you've got all the things, you have cash, obviously, is a physical asset, although it's somewhat blurring and becoming digital. You have precious metals. If you notice, gold is at its second highest per ounce back to like 2011. It's the last 20 years, the chart is like this. Why? Because wealthy people put their money in gold and silver, and we don't get taught that in school. So I didn't grow up with wealthy parents. I grew up with a single mom. My dad was in prison, Terminal Island in Long Beach, California, where I was born. And so I never had somebody go, hey, Ty, you should allocate 5% of your investments into alternative investments like precious metals, or hey, you should invest in real estate, or hey, this is how you should diversify your cash and how you should invest in the stock market and cryptocurrency, which is a newer thing. And only now in the last years have I even seen people talking about right here intellectual property. You know how much money there is in things like owning patents, trademarks, licensing deals, owning intellectual property. I have a good bit of my net worth is through IP. Entrepreneurial ventures, this is something you can invest in. There's incubation, acceleration. By the way, when I say entrepreneurial, I'm saying you're not actually running the business. Because if so, that's not an asset. That's an entity that you work in. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. But you need to have both. Okay, there's nothing wrong with having a job. There's nothing wrong with having a business that you run. Don't get me wrong. But if that's all that you have, then you haven't completed the circle. You got to complete the circle. Like Albert Einstein, you need the eighth wonder of the world working for you, which is compound growth. And you can't compound, you can't work 18 hours a day nonstop and then go, oh, I'm going to raise that by 10%. I'm going to compound how hard I work. No, eventually you run out of days. You run out of hours in the day and you run out of days in the year. So you cannot compound your labor indefinitely, but you can compound assets because these are things that work while you're sleeping, okay? M&A, mergers and acquisitions, this is something that if you've been following me, that I do more and more. Instead of starting companies from scratch and incubating them, I just buy them. I bought a company last year, Dress Barn. It did $740 million in revenue in 2019. I bought it, put it online, own the intellectual property and all these things. So it was an M&A deal, merger and acquisition. Got lots of other deals. If you Google Tai Lopez New York Post, you'll see stuff talking about me bidding to try to buy Blue Apron and Forever 21 and companies like that, large companies. Forever 21, $3.5 billion company. So I have 28 deals that I'm working on now on the M&A side. But even then, I don't put all my effort in M&A because that's just one of the 9 assets that I want working for me. And then, of course, you have minority interests, which kind of I need more time to explain this to you. I obviously can't explain all of this, but I wanted to just show you, like, this right here is what they should have taught you in high school and college. They should have broke this down for a whole year. You know, I mean, it's insane that it's just like I always think about school. The whole way that you do well in school is you memorize stuff. So whoever has the best memory, you can remember stuff for your quiz and for your exam. But they never have a class on how to memorize, which is insane. There's techniques you can learn to memorize things. They call them memory castles is one where you like create images and you create a story in your head and you remember nothing. And just like you go to college, in great part, not just to become more well-rounded, but for your career. If you ask the average person why the parents want to go to college, is so you get a better job and you have better labor-based income. Well, in college, okay, I'm a college dropout, so I wasn't in college for very long. I went to NC State for like 1 quarter that I didn't have enough money. My family didn't have money to pay my way through college. So, so I didn't. When I said I didn't have money, even with scholarships, I didn't have $1,000 to do the basic textbooks or whatever. So I just became an entrepreneur. Kind of glad that I did in hindsight. Not that I'm not saying college is the worst thing. I'm just saying in many ways it's overrated because one of the things they're supposed to equip you for your career, but there's never one class about this. And if it is, it's not deep, it's not in depth. It's some little ancillary thing that people do, which makes no sense. It's like quizzing people, but never teaching them memory. Or sending people to college, but never teaching them how to invest the money that they make from the career that college theoretically helped them have. And so, you know, you got to go deep in this stuff. And one of the reasons I'm recording this video right now is I want to just increase awareness because, man, I wish I could go back in a time machine and play this video back to my 18-year-old self because I was hungry. I was interested. there just wasn't the internet. There wasn't all the ways to communicate. I did luckily have some millionaire mentors, but they didn't have time to teach me all this stuff, and they weren't even experts in all this stuff. So at the end of the day, I've compiled it through mentors that I acquired later in life, trial and error. I've all these categories I've been in and done some things right and done some things wrong. So I want to raise the awareness for you. We live in a world that's full of lots of problems, lots of societal problems, lots of people not getting along, lots of conflict. I will tell you this, that the root of most of the problems, not all, but most, are people not having enough money, income inequality, things like this. But at the end of the day, when you're poor, life's tough. Life's not fair. And so I don't know how to solve all the world problems. I'm not a political person, but I can tell you nobody cares about you as much as you. So you better get your game up. I'm not waiting for the government to solve my problems. If they do, it'll be a bonus because I've already gone down the path of doing my best. So you got to put in the time. And people are lazy now. Everybody wants the dream, but everybody's not. It's kind of like if you go to a personal trainer and you just hold up a fitness magazine and go, I want to look like that. And I go, okay, you willing to put in any time? And you're like, no, I just want to look like that. I mean, as if wishing somehow gets you something, as if the world is an Aladdin world where somebody comes out, oh, your wish is my command. But tell you the rules of the jungle when it comes to making money and anything else is, if you wait for the genie, you will wait and die poor, okay? So not everybody's going to be a billionaire. Not everybody's going to even be a millionaire. But I have a strong belief that everybody can achieve financial independence, even in the modern world, as unfair as it is. Because if you wait, it's going to take, look at 50 years ago, things were unfair. Look how little change there's been in 50 years. You'll be 50 years older than you are now before the problems we're worried about now get fixed. But you can fix them on your own. You can fix them on your own if you equip yourself with the knowledge base to begin to understand this stuff. To begin to understand, okay, what's intellectual property? How do patents work? How do trademark work? How can I license deals? How can I do owner financed deals where if I don't have any money and I can't raise any money because I'm new to the game, I get the owner to finance it. Buying a business you can do with owner financing, as an M&A deal. Real estate can be done. It's owner financed. There's many types of real estate. I'm doing a lot of warehouses right now, okay? I just bought 850 acres of agricultural land. I think that people are going to always have to eat. Warehouses, as e-commerce gets bigger, people are going to have to store their stuff and ship it. Jeff Bezos, the richest man in the world, owns 175 warehouses. So these are, by the way, you're never going to get good at every single, I told you there's 27 things here on this grid. You need to be aware of all of them and good at a few of them and master one or two of them and be pretty darn good at 5 or 6 of them and be kind of a jack of all trades on the remaining ones. That's how the game goes, okay? And so I did a live call earlier today just for my Instagram followers and stuff, and I was like, I made a course. And by the way, you don't have to go in my courses. I've always told people from the beginning, if you think you can learn this on your own just as quick, go for it. I make the courses because I wish I had courses that were cheaper than college. I have a friend, she's at NYU. It's $80,000 a year for an undergrad degree. That's an expensive course. So I was always like, what if I could make short courses that are cheap enough I could have bought them when I was basically broke? That's what I've been doing. So I'm going to put a link for the next 7 days. This link is going to work. What I'm doing is I'm creating a test group, just like I did with social media marketing, just like I did with e-commerce, ECS, e-commerce certified specialist. All these programs, I create kind of test groups. I take a small group of my followers and say, look, you want to get in, you want to go deep on this stuff, I'll train you. So this is a month-long course. You can complete it in 30 days, okay? It's step-by-step videos. We go deep. Some of these I'm not experts on. I have my business partners who are experts come in and train you. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on your laptop. You can do it audio. You can do it video. Let me show you this asset-based income master plan, this ABI master plan. And I'll give you 100% money back guarantee. You can go through it for the whole month. If you don't like it, at the end of the month, you can get your money back, okay? I'm also going to give you a bonus. If you click the link, you'll see Going to give you a bonus on weekly live training. Zoom call every Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern. I'll come on, my business partners come on. As you're in the program, if you're kind of stuck on some things, we'll be there and it's, kind of like group coaching, but live. And we can get to almost all the questions. Master this stuff. Make your life asset rich. Grab assets. If I could give myself the biggest financial advice, I mean, if I could be 18 years old again, I wouldn't just give myself financial advice. There'd be lots of other pieces of advice. I'd tell myself, learn how to read people, because the people you think are your trusted friends are going to betray you. That's one thing I'd learn. Learn psychometrics, which is the art of reading people and understanding people. I would tell myself, hit heavy weights, 3-4 times a week. Understand your body type. I'd talk to myself about diet stuff, okay? But when it comes to finances, I would say, don't just go hard on improving your income through salaries and through your labor and through your own efforts. Make assets work for you, whether it be real estate, whether it be intellectual property, whether it be. So Entrepreneur Ventures, I told you, I bought a company last year. I spend 1 hour a week, on it, 1 hour a week, 4 hours a month. I have a CEO that I installed, and that business does, I have multiple businesses like that. I don't know if maybe I won't show the income on here because I don't want people to say, oh, Ty promised me you can make all this money per day. So I'll just understate it. Tim Ferriss wrote a really good book called The 4-Hour Work Week. If you set it up over time as you get more experience, I've set it up to be the 4-hour work month per brand. So part of the game is like, how do you multiply yourself? That's what Einstein meant by compounding interest. He means something that goes above and beyond you. You and I as humans are finite. Our time is finite. Our labor, our energy, our emotional state is finite. But why did I buy 850 acres of prime farmland in the Shenandoah Valley? Because right now, when I don't feel like working, that land's working for me and appreciating. One of my mentors was a guy named Dr. Gordon Hazard. He was like 85 years old when I was 20. And I went down to Mississippi. He owned 3,500 acres of land. He owned cattle. He knew how to use the futures market, which is, we'll talk about that in the stock market, one of the subset. You have futures, you have Forex, you have options, but he was a specialist in Forex, specifically livestock. And he just told me, he said, we were driving around in a pickup truck, and he said, you see all this land you can see? He said, you know what I like about it? I said, what? He said, every day the sun shines, the rain falls, the grass grows, the cows eat the grass, the cattle gets more valuable, and my land gets more valuable. And he said, this right here is making me money while I'm just sitting here talking to you. He wasn't at a job. He wasn't at a desk. He wasn't at a cubicle. He wasn't doing a 9-to-5. He was having compounding interest work for him. And it's magical. Warren Buffett started his first investment. One of the wealthiest people. He's been top 3 Forbes wealthiest person in the world for the last, 20 years on and off. Him and Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos kind of trade off. And he bought his first asset. I think he was like 11 years old. That's insane. There was a billionaire who's dead now named Simplot. He became one of the largest potato farmers. But he, I think, bought his first farm at like age 8 or something, 9. You can read his biography. He did it with his dad or something. He couldn't sign the paperwork. But he had 2 employees working for his land that he bought at age 8. He said grown men don't like to listen to 8-year-old bosses, but he was paying them. So for those of you who are watching this that are very young, the lucky ones learn this early. That's what Alan Nation, my second mentor, told me. He said, Ty, the lucky ones that learn this early. If you're older and you're watching this and you feel like you've been left behind, well, you kind of have. But I got good news for you. Joel Salatin, my first mentor, you may have seen him. He was on Joe Rogan. He's been on Joe Rogan twice. He used to always tell me when I was 19, he said, Ty, better late than never, better late than never. So if you feel behind the 8 ball, better late than never. Okay? So I'm going to keep this open for a week. I'm not going to do a huge test group for this. In some ways, this is kind of like not my treasured secrets, but investing is high level, man. You learn this game, you're ahead of the game. So I'm going to keep this open. Click the link. You have less than 7 days to get in to this ABI master plan. Simple. When you get in, The next page will be a 256-bit SSL encrypted page. That means no one sees your credit card. It's secure. It's encrypted. It's safer than handing a waiter or waitress your credit card and they can go in the back and write your number down. That can't happen. We never see your number. As quickly as you get through that next page, you'll be in the ABI program. You'll begin learning, downloading new things into your brain. Really, I should never have to make this course. You know, in an ideal world, parents would be teaching this to their kid. But like I said, I was raised by a single mom. I can't expect, nobody taught her this. So the negative cycle continues. I want to break that cycle. I wanted to break it in my life. I want to break it in your life. You must learn how to invest your money wisely. You must. It's not optional, okay? Unless you inherit money or you win the lottery. And even then, the average person who wins the lottery loses it all in less than 5 years because they don't know how to invest their money. So some of you are becoming successful in your ventures, your businesses, or you have a high-paying job. That's not enough because that's just labor-based income. That'll go right out the door. True story, I had a guy, I moved to Hollywood, and he was a friend of mine, and hold on, let me text somebody. He sold his company for $18 million. He was 26, I think, 26 years old. And he paid taxes on it. California's high tax. He paid like $5 million, let's say. He had like 12, 13 million left. Then he bought a nice house in the hills, and he bought some cars and partied a little bit. He spent 4 or 5 million on that. So he had about 8 million then. And he didn't know how to invest his money. He knew how to create a business that he could sell for $18 million, but he didn't know how to invest it in these 9 assets. And so he went out, and a friend of his was like, hey, you should buy land. We're doing a development deal halfway between Los Angeles and Vegas. And if you know anything about halfway between Vegas and Los Angeles, if you've ever driven, it's desert. I'm talking real desert, Death Valley, hot, nothing grows. But they started to build. This is in 2007. Started building. He put a couple million in. They're like, we need a little more money from you. I won't say his name. And you might be watching this. And he eventually put 8 million in. Then 2008 recession hit. The entire deal went bust. Lost everything. He has a 9-to-5 job now. It's insane. Sell your company at 26 for 18 million. He's got a 9-to-5 job because he only got half of the wealth equation, which is how to earn the money, but not how to make it work for you. If he had this simple program, and by the way, I've priced this thing. You'll see you could get the whole program for under $500, or you can get an individual part of it. If you just want to learn one part of the 3 main categories, you can get it for under $100. Okay, with a money back guarantee. College doesn't have a money back guarantee, by the way. Anyway, this would have been the most worthwhile thing, because had he put his money into these 9 asset types, he would not have lost all $8 million. It's almost impossible. I mean, anything's possible, but very low likelihood. You know, Mike Tyson, if you read his book, I love it's a great book, Mike Tyson's, the story of Mike Tyson. And he made hundreds of millions of dollars as a boxer, but he was like me. He like my dad grew up in Harlem. I grew up in Long Beach outside the prison. Mike Tyson even had it worse. I think he's from Brooklyn or something. So he made hundreds of millions of dollars, did not know how to invest it. And at the end, he says years later, he was in Hollywood and he couldn't afford $100 a night hotel room for him and his family. That's insane. This stuff should be mandatory. So click the link, get in the program, learn this stuff, okay? I'm telling you, I'm not trying to command you, but I wish somebody had commanded me. Learn this stuff and begin as small as you can, as large as you can, begin to own some assets. Whether it's in the stock market, whether it's some gold, whether it's some entrepreneurial operating assets, whether it's some crypto, own it. And a lot of people go, what's the best thing? The best thing is lots of diversified things. That's the best thing. I'm not going to get into it on this call. So jump in the test group, click the link below. You have less than 7 days. Get in this program. And man, I'm excited. I'm excited for you that you get the chance to learn this. I wish someone had laid it out for me. I don't know of any college program or any book you can buy that has this approach to it. So yeah, I'll see you inside, and I'll see you on one of the free bonuses is free live coaching. I'll see you Friday. All right, click the link and talk to you soon.